Hi, my name's Wyatt Groth and I'm the owner of Hammersmith, and you are watching another video on the Hammersmith DIY Products channel. Today I want to talk to you about hydraulically swaging balustrade fittings. So, what are we talking about when we say hydraulically swaging a balustrade fittings? Probably the best way of explaining is to have a look at our different systems that we have here. You can see here in system 1, system 1, 5, 6 and 7, they all revolve around the same setup of the wire going into the end of the fitting. What we talk about when we talk about hydraulically swaging is the method of crimping the end of the fitting to hold the wire in place. You can see that this method is different to this method here seen in system 3. In this method what we've got is the wire coming along, looping it back on itself and then crimping it. This is known as hand swaging. Uses a ferrule and a hand swager. This is known as hydraulic swaging. They are two different methods and I've got two different videos showing you. Today we're going to talk about the hydraulic swaging. Now the reason why we have a hydraulic swager as distinct from a hand swager is simply because of the force required. These fittings here in question, with a hand swager you could not get the pressure required to crimp the end of the fitting. There are hand swagers out there for these fittings. The difficulty is they're quite large because you need that leverage to crimp it, whereas the hydraulic swager is a far easier method, particularly if you have hundreds of these to do. You don't want to be overexerting yourself. So what we have here is a hydraulic swager. This is a unit that we've had tested and we know it works. We actually import this particular unit. We have it branded in our own company logo with our own product code on there. And this can be found on our website, hammersmith.com.au. If you search hydraulic swager, you'll find it, or the product code IF120. Let's have a look at the tool. When you open the box, this is what you're going to have. It actually will be wrapped up, but for what I'm showing you today, let's have a look at this. So, we've got a tool. We've got a whole range of different dies involved. The unit comes standard with these dies. We could have chosen not to have them in there, but they're actually really handy for other applications involved in the electrical cabling industry. But for our purpose, what we're going to do is we're going to choose the dies marked with the number 6. The unit comes standard with dies marked number 10, but within your selection here you'll have one which is number 6. It's the smallest die available and it's the best die to use to crimp these fittings. So how does the tool work? It really is very easy. There's a little dial on the side here which says off and on. If you have it off, you'll see nothing's happening. Turn it around to on and you'll notice the jaws getting closer together. To release it, switch it back to off again. It's as simple as that. That's how the tool operates. So let's crimp some fittings and show you how easy it is. In an earlier video I spoke to you about the different types of wire to use for different fittings. With the hydraulically swaged fittings we recommend using the 1x19 3.2mm wire. This particular wire here. You can use 7x7 or 7x19, but there really is no point. The beauty of the 1x19 is it's specifically designed for these fittings because it's nice and rigid and you don't get a lot of stretch. So how do you actually crimp? Well, just take your 3.2mm wire and poke it into the end of the fitting, like so. Again, just like that. Then what you need to do is grab your fitting in your tool, line it up in the jaws, engage the tool to the on position and bring the jaws gently together until you feel it grip. Now, people ask us, how many times do I need to crimp it and where should I crimp it on the fitting? The answer to that question is once and towards the end. You don't necessarily do it right on the end, but what I would recommend, if this is the fitting where this is the end of it, and that's obviously the middle, do it towards the end, around about there, but still leave maybe 5 to 10mm on the end, just from a visual point of view. You can see here, it's exactly what we've done with these fittings. So, in this scenario here, we've got it on the end, we've engaged the unit. It's not moving. Make sure the wire is in fully. Now, watch this. Twice, 3 times, 4, maybe 5. Oh, you'll get to a point where you can't physically, unless you're a He-Man, crimp it any further. Once you kind of get that point, stop. And the reason I say stop, occasionally we get people who ring us up and say, oh, the tool's not working properly, and we'll talk to them about it. And what they explain to us is, oh, I just kept on doing it till I couldn't do it any further and then did it some more. There are seals in here, and what you're actually doing is you're going to burst through the seals and cause the unit to malfunction. Once you get a decent amount of resistance on this tool, that's enough. So, as I said, I can't really push that any further. I release that, the jaw's open, and we've done it. Okay, let's get a closer up shot of that so we can see it a bit clearer. As I said, these are the fittings, hydraulically swaged fittings. The wire goes into the end of the fitting, like so. Grab your tool, you've got your off and on. Keep it on off initially. Slide the fitting in here, like so. Come around this side. Rest it in the groove. Engage it into it on and start bringing the jaws together. Once the product just engages, get the position right. As I said, I like to leave maybe 5 to 10 mil on the end. Try and keep it consistent throughout your job because it'll look nice and neat. Once you've got the engaged, make sure it's on, start crimping. Twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 is about enough. Release, and you have a nice swage fitting, which is not going anywhere. So now you've seen how to use a hydraulic swager, you can see how easy this is. And it doesn't take a lot of force. So if you have 50, 60 or 100 different fittings you have to crimp, it's not going to overexert you. And the beauty is, once the job's done, grab your case, open it back up, pop it in, shut it up. The job's done. If you're a contractor and you do this sort of work regularly, imagine how handy it is to have one of these utes in your van. So you've seen how to crimp these fittings. I just wanted to say one more thing. I mentioned earlier on that we've had some testing done on this, and we have had some testing done on it. What we actually had done was some testing to see, 1, what the unit was like, and 2, how many times you need to crimp it. The results that came back, I've got to say, actually surprised us. We did tests with 3 crimps, 2 crimps and 1 crimp. And in all 3 cases, the unit performed exceptionally well. If you were concerned and you thought, oh, I'm a bit worried about 1 crimp, do 2 crimps. It's not the end of the world. Do 1 closer to the end and 1 a little bit further in. That's fine. But honestly, the testing we've had done, 1 crimp done on these fittings will more than conform with the amount of tension required to stop this from pulling out. In fact, we had some tests done, and the fitting itself, the tests were done with this particular fitting here. The fitting itself pulled out of the timber before the wire pulled out of the end of the fitting. So we have 100% confidence that this particular tool that we sell does the job. It's been tested and it works great. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you've really enjoyed it. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Hammersmith DIY Products, and don't forget to join us on Facebook, which is also Hammersmith DIY Products. And you can find all of this information and the products we sell on our website, hammersmith.com.au. This is Wyatt Groth signing off.